Dynamic performance. Sophisticated British style. MG Pilot Smart Speed Assist. The new standard in performance, style and safety. With so many impressive inclusions, this is value you've never seen before. The all-new MG HS, the SUV you've never seen before.
Welcome to Gibbo Goes One-on-One, driven by MG. Now this week I'm joined by WNBA, WNBL superstar Opal, Under Armour athlete, played overseas. Cayla George, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. I was waiting for you to ask, to be honest.
Yeah, look, it takes a while to get to the big dogs. You've got to go through certain channels to get you guys on. Obviously, you're in quarantine right now. Talk me through that. How's that going? I know you haven't been in Melbourne, so I don't think you've been quarantining with the Melbourne girls already, but you've joined them for the 2-week hub quarantine. How is that?
Yeah, it's actually not been too bad. I've been really blessed to be up in Cairns, so it's relatively normal living up there and has been for a hot minute. So I've even been playing some skirt ball up there. You've probably seen in my socials. We won the championship. Go Phoenix. So yeah, coming back down here with the Melbourne girls in quarantine was really essential, obviously, because I needed to come and train with my team. But it's been pretty good. Like, we leave a couple times a day to train on court and in the gym. So I do get a little bit bored in the afternoons, I guess. But now today I've got this chat, so it's great. But no, other than that, it's been really, the mask wearing thing's a bit different, but obviously you guys in Melbourne are pretty accustomed to that. So no, it's been a bit of an adjustment, but not too crazy.
Talk me through the testing. So how often do you get tested? I've seen online that you were tested, but as a team, how often do you get the swab and testing done?
Yeah, so I actually hadn't been tested before. So we got our first one, or for me, it was on Wednesday last week, and we've got it today as well. So just once a week, which hasn't been too bad, but definitely not a comfortable feeling, the old swab up the nose. But it's all right. We were all negative last week, and I'm sure we'll be all negative this week. So fingers crossed. How long
do you have left of the quarantine? I think, what is it, like half a week? And then what have you girls been doing? Like, obviously you can't leave the hotel bar, training and coming back. But what have you girls been doing? I know you dance and act crazy a lot of the time, but
no, we don't do that.
Games, like, what have you been doing to kill the time? Has it been maybe a good time? You haven't been with the team, but to do some team bonding, cultural stuff. Is much of that stuff been going on?
Yeah, we've had a few team meetings, but guys, not one to really saturate our time with team meetings. So yeah, it's been good to kind of reconnect and, cook with some of the girls. I've been doing a bit of baking myself. And, we've had a few little games. We've got this murder game that our assistant coach Larissa put in. And so there's all the victims and there's one murderer. I don't know if you heard of it. We're on to game 4 of it. I just missed the meeting before someone got killed. So we're playing these little games. We're playing the peg game. We're doing some stuff to stay, I don't know, not bored, but I mean, lots of Netflix. And yeah, we've only got half a week, like you said. So looking forward to getting up north. Obviously, I'm based up there now. Adelaide girl originally, but adopted Far North Queenslander. So looking forward to getting up into the North Queensland vibes.
I'm going to ask where your home now is later. It must be good, obviously, for the girls to get to practice again, not all being together, but how long are you allowed to train? I know there's a few teams vying for court time, so that's obviously some restrictions around that. And I know you've been playing some practice games as well.
Yes, we have about 90 minutes, including warm-up. So guys not super stoked with that, but I mean, it's kind of, as athletes, you're like, oh no, we have to get off the court. Oh no. So it's not been too bad, but it's really great to finally be back all as one team because, Ezzy was over in the WNBA where she won the championship, and then she was in quarantine, and then she had 36 hours at home, and then she had to come be in another quarantine. And Kalani and Ash were both based in Brisbane. So this is really the first time we've all been together. And then this week we had a few people, Maddie still wasn't full, with her ankle surgery. She played a bit of the game today though. So we've kind of been a bit in and out. So the last 2 days, really, we've had our full team on the floor for the first time. So really that's pretty wild, and we play next week. So
I was about to say, obviously unbelievable news that 1, there's a season. 2, that it's come so quick, literally in a week, almost a week, you're going to be playing your first game. And then how do you think you'll handle the schedule of 3, maybe 4 games in a week, and just firing through those games at a rapid pace?
Yeah, I guess there's not a lot of time to dwell on, bad games, which is great. But I think it'll come down to obviously talent, but how well we do our recovery, and just being a real pro in that regard. So Yeah, look, it's like a international tournament on steroids, really. It's just crazy, like 5 weeks of full on. But I mean, I'm excited. And on top of that, I get to play at home in front of my family and friends in Cairns. So we have like a nice 11-day stretch in Cairns at the start of December. So really looking forward to taking the girls to the dog park with me kids, separation anxiety. I haven't seen them in a week and a half. They've had me with them all year.
Yeah. Now, you've played for a lot of WNBL teams. Started the AAS, the Lightning, Logan, Townsville Fire, which I'll talk about the championship in a minute. Obviously, the Boomers, Rookie of the Year. You mentioned about the schedule. Obviously, you've won a championship. That team was a great team. It's obviously going to take some luck. Hopefully, no injuries for a team. Obviously, talent as well, but. Well, what do you think it's going to take for a team to win this championship? Talent, of course, but staying fit and healthy and blending as soon as possible.
Yeah, I think what I touched on before, I think recovery, like how people are bouncing back and getting their rest in and, doing the right things off the court nutritionally and things like that to make sure their bodies are right to play their best basketball. I think, also, if you have a decent lead or, you're down by a big chunk, I'm sure that the coaches will alter some things and maybe not play certain people to rest them for the next games, things like that. Some girls might have to miss games with, coming back from injuries. So I think it's just about how well managed we are and it'll determine probably the finals.
One thing I do love about, all you girl basketball is that you're so supportive. How cool is it to see Ezzy win, WNBA championship and, obviously Sammy that plays, I know she's still playing in the WNBL as well, but to see Ezzy, a former teammate at the Opals and obviously now to see her win an NBA championship, that must have been pretty cool as well.
Yeah, and like Ezzy is just the most beautiful person and she works really hard. She accepts criticism. She wants to get better. She wants to learn and grow, and she is an absolute superstar. And for her to be able to go over there in her rookie season and experience that, I was so stoked for her and so well deserved. And she actually had a really great rookie season. She may not have played much in the finals, but, she came on and contributed like almost every game. And, she had some really great vets on her team that really put her in great positions as well. But yeah, I think really solid first year for her, and I'm expecting big things in the years to come.
I feel like she should have played more of the games that I've seen. She obviously was out there and she was unbelievable. You obviously spent time in the WNBA as well. The Mercury, you got traded to the Connecticut Suns, but they kind of waved you to Dallas. But what is it about Phoenix that almost all Australian basketballers go there? Obviously, Sandy's there as coach. You got Penny Taylor, Michelle Team started it. I think Snelly, Erin Phillips, Alana.
Yeah.
Just a variety of Aussies. Is it because Sandy's there? Is it just they just love Aussies? Like, what do you think it is about the Phoenix Mercury that just attracts so many Aussie basketballers?
Well, I think definitely now Sandy being there certainly helps. But before Sandy, there were still Aussies there. So I think Phoenix just really love our tenacity and our hard work ethic and how we go about our business. We're real pros and we're really, I think us Aussies, more often than not, are really great people. So to have on a team culturally is also really great. So I think that's why Phoenix have been a bit saturated with the Aussie vibe in the last 10 years. They've been pretty successful. A lot of the Aussies, like Penny Taylor, one of the best ever, that was her home for a long time. And but my time in the WNBA was, that was very interesting. A lot of learning, a lot of bench sitting, but like I said, a lot of learning.
Well, I was going to ask about that. Like, obviously, I mean, geez, I would go and sit on an NBA bench in a heartbeat, just, be there and soak up a lot. But how was your first experience, being there for the first time and training for the first time and going against that competition?
Well, I knew Sandy from when her and her husband Olaf coached me in Logan. So I felt like, because I almost went to LA, so it was out of LA and Phoenix. And I ended up signing with Phoenix because I just, in the world of the unknown, I really wanted to go to, someone I knew. Yeah. And so that was a great experience. The sets, like offensively, were, very similar. And like obviously knew them and knew some of the girls there. So it was a lot easier to kind of transition into that WNBA environment. Second year was really hard for me. And then, got traded in my third year and then got waived, which was an experience, but also don't like to let people determine my own self-worth. So I just had to, pick myself back up from that. And then I ended up coming back to Australia and then had some visa issues with Dallas. And so I had to stay for a little bit longer. And then, got to Dallas, eventually was there with Liz. And that was a really great experience. I felt like I got some good opportunity. But the WNBA, like any team, like when you're not a superstar over there, like I just had to be ready at all times. So like sometimes I played 27 minutes, sometimes 7, sometimes DNP. And I think that's almost harder than when you are the superstar, because, you know, you kind of know your role. You're just going out and you're balling and you're helping your team win. But when you have no idea when your number's called, the mental capacity to stay ready and focused can be really draining. And I felt like I did a pretty good job of, you know, just seeing the game and, you know, making sure I was ready. But sometimes, you know, you'd go on and you'd make a mistake and then you wouldn't see the floor again for another 2 games. So that was really hard. But honestly, like, biggest lessons learned over there, it is the best league in the world. Unfortunately, not the highest paid for women, but certainly like so stoked that I got to, you know, spend 3 years over there.
I want to talk. I think you made a great point. I've certainly been in that situation. Obviously, been on both ends. You start, you play like you know when you're going to play. The flip side is you could play so well and then still not get any minutes next. The mess up going on in your mind to stay ready. Like you could do so much work before the game, week leading in, shoot as many shots, put in extra time, make sure. But you're sitting there, still not have no idea when you might go in. The last game, you might have gone in at like 4 or 5 minutes left in the quarter. You still don't go on. There's the mind games. And just talk me through that whole, like, the mind game of, man, I should be on, but I'm not. But staying ready and staying positive and just the ups and downs of all that. Because I've certainly been through it. And it's super challenging.
Like you said, you've been on both ends. So like now when I see like some of our young girls go on and make a mistake and get ripped off, I'm like, oh, been there, felt that. Yeah, you know, you got it. Keep your head up. But it was interesting. One time we were playing against Minnesota in Minnesota, and I only got on in junk time with like 90 seconds to go. And we were losing by 30 anyway. And I had to go on and guard Sylvia Fowles, who's one of the best bigs in the world. Yeah. And I'd been sitting there, you know, I was like picking out splinters, you know, like, and so I've gone in and given my best. And after the game, I almost got blamed for the loss I felt. And maybe at the time it wasn't directly at me, but in my moment and in my feels, I was like, oh my gosh, it's not my fault. Oh my gosh, I played 90 seconds. You know, like that's really hard. But no, I guess like for me, I'm always a glass half full kind of girl. So like always lessons learned in those moments. And certainly my time in the WNBA, and I definitely brought that back. And it did take me a little bit to bounce back from my mental, I want to say mental fatigue from having to deal with so much anxiety of, you know, the role I was playing. But I still felt like I played my role well. But it didn't make it any easier.
Well, I think it is mental fatigue. Like I was in those moments, I've been like, you always just think more than probably is happening. Like you probably see the coach talking to someone else, and they might look at you and you think, are they talking about me if I don't something wrong? Like that always comes in. I think in those situations, you just definitely start thinking more for the worse, which is obviously not
absolutely like all negative, and you've really got to like stop thinking that way. But it's easier said than done. But to stay focused and ready is one of the toughest things. I think harder than being a superstar and expecting to score 20 points or whatever it may be. Like that's definitely harder in my mind to play that role for sure.
But obviously being over there, seeing, you know, the best players in the world, some of the best talent, like would have learned, picked up moves, or like even your own teammates, just how they go about their business day to day, in game, out of game, all that stuff must have been a big help for you personally and basketball wise as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I did really enjoy playing with Dinah Taurasi, especially if I was shooting well. If I wasn't shooting well, I don't think she wanted me on the floor, which was also really intimidating, but it happened. She's a superstar. But yeah, learning from her and picking her brain a little bit. And I also got to play with Cayla Diggins, and she loved me because I'm not typically like known as just a come in big body banger. Like I'm known as a shooter. But in Dallas, my role was to come in and just get people open, like just set screens, rebound, shoot threes when I'm open. So I would just come and get Skylar open, and she loved me. She was like, put Georgie on, like put her on, like get me open. So I would just like pick and pop all day with her, and she loved it. So she was really great to play with as well. But I think all in all, and you'll agree, like you play all over the world and meet all these amazing people. And I think that's the highlight for me, just being able to meet, not only to play with on court, but, you know, just meet some really cool sister girls that I actually call sisters and family. Not everyone, but, you know, some people are really like thankful to meet you, but like, no thanks, but good. But like most of the time, and I get along with mostly everyone. It's
for sure going to be not the on-court stuff that you probably remember. It's the people you meet, the people you hang out with, and all that stuff. it's also, you just mentioned then, I think I try and preach this to younger people and stuff, like just come, and I talked to Damien Martin about this, why Perth is so good, they play their role. So you come in, you set screens, that's all you need to do. There's basic, simple things that you've done your whole life. If you do that well, good things happen. Like you said, Skylar wanted you on the floor, that obviously helps, you know, play your role and good things will happen with your team.
Yeah, that's it. And obviously I knew that wasn't my entire game. Like, and I had to always remind myself not to put my mind in that box of, I'm just a screener and a popper. Like, that's not my game. So when I came back to Australia or went and played in Europe, like where they expect me to play my entire game, I wasn't stuck in that, I just screen and pop, you know? So it was about adjusting to whatever team you're in. And it's not easy. And this lifestyle isn't for everyone. A lot of people, when I played in Europe, like, you're in Paris, you just gone to the Eiffel Tower, you're going to Disneyland? Like, it's just a big holiday. Like, mate, I'm training 2 times a day. I get 2 times of 3 days off in 8 months. And I, one time went to Disneyland. But, you know, like people just think we're there on holiday sometimes. It's just not for everyone, that's for sure.
A lot of people don't realise, they see the one picture of the Eiffel Tower, and they just have a holiday, shoot some hoops.
That looks good.
They don't realise the 2 days in Europe, like.
Right.
Is there a greater honour than representing your country? You know, you obviously the junior Aussie teams, the Gems, I think Sapphires, but to wear the green and gold, to represent the Opals and Australia at tournaments, which you've been to a lot of, like, is there a greater honour than that?
Yeah, look, no, there's not. And it's certainly my favourite team to play for. And I think over the last at least 2 decades, the Opals legacy is just extraordinary. And to be a part of that is like just so humbling. And, you know, when I was a junior, obviously my goal, and probably your goal, would have been to be a boomer. Like mine was to be an Opal and to go to a World Cup and to go to Olympics and things like that. And my journey's been very interesting. Not smooth at all. So many lows, like way more lows than highs. But those highs like outweigh every single low, because I bring it back to the 2018 World Cup where we beat Spain in Spain, and they say that's the hardest thing to do in a quarter or a semi, beat the host nation. And so it was a really tough battle. We had like 8,000 booing Spanish fans. Liz was revving them up. She loves it. You know, she loves getting booed. That revs her up. She killed it that game. But I got to hit a pretty cool corner 3 to like really solidify the win. And like the energy after that game, like that's the best game that I've ever been a part of, and especially with the Opals, and that, you know, put us back into second in the world, which was a really cool thing. And so, yeah, wearing the green and gold will never get old. It's always so incredible. And the passion and, you know, the culture that we've got right now with the Opals program is just like second to none. It's incredible.
The game in London where we beat Great Britain on their home floor with like, by far one of my best Aussie Boomers team wins for sure. Finding out about the Olympics, is that your highlight of your Opals Australian basketball in general career?
Yeah, like making the Olympic team, you mean? Yeah, absolutely. So as a kid, my goal 100% make the Olympic team. And yeah, like my journey to get there was definitely not smooth, as I mentioned before. But yeah, that was, I think, going into that meeting where we found out that morning we were on the Gold Coast, and I was crying going into the meeting. Like I was so nervous. Like I don't think I could, like I just was not ready to hear anything, because I can't even speak about it. You know what I mean? Like, and so I'm in there like. How did
you find out? How did you find out? How were you told? Was it everyone in? Was it individual come in with the coaches? How did you?
Yeah, it was individual. So we had Choco and our assistants, Damien Cotter and Laurie Chiswick, all sitting there. And so I'm just like, kind of like just like crying, and they're going, "You're going." And like this, I cried for like another 2 hours. Like I couldn't believe it. It was really like just everything, all the hard work, all the blood, sweat and tears, as cliche as that sounds, or like in that moment, it was just incredible. So that was probably a highlight. And then, as mentioned, the 2018 World Cup where, we claimed silver, which was really great.
I always see, actually, I'll ask that after this. The Com Games, home, like gold medal Com Games, like how good was that?
Yeah, that was so great. And honestly, we don't get to really rep our country on home soil that often. So it's even cooler that we get the World Cup in 2022 here as well. But yeah, the Com Games was a really cool experience. I actually think that the village was set up better than what Rio was. It was definitely more ready than what Rio was. And the food was way better. Sorry, Rio, if you're watching. But yeah, cool experience. And we were in Townsville for our round games, and I'd actually just signed with the Boomers right before the Com Games. So at least they still like kind of cheered me a little bit. I did have 3 years, 3 championships there in the Ville, so they were respectful, which was nice. But was hoping to be in Cairns the minor rounds. But yeah, then we had the finals on the coast, and that was just a really cool experience. And it put us in good stead to probably win that silver medal a few months later at the World Cup. It was a great tournament.
You mentioned the World Cup, 2021 or 22?
The World Cup is 2022.
Like that's obviously a goal for yourself, and obviously but how good would that be to have a major tournament in Australia to play in front of friends and family?
Yeah, would be absolutely incredible, especially just for women's basketball and female athletes. And women's basketball, you respect us, it's a great game, and to have the top talent in the world come here and to showcase that, and to make some noise about it. And then the following year, there's the World Cup for the women's soccer. So I think it's just great for Australia to have, Olympics, our World Cup, the Soccer World Cup. I think it's a real movement for female athletes for sure.
And a perfect time coming out of this COVID rubbish shit we're in to just, bang after each other, just hopefully proper live sport for people to go and see. And 2 big time events, one year after the other. Yeah,
and I think really great for the young aspiring athletes, for the World Cup, but then also for the region of Cairns, for the young athletes to see us live, because you can't be what you can't see. So, and that it's televised. We've got Foxtel, KO, and ABC as well. So, and there isn't really any other sport other than cricket. You guys don't start till a bit later. So, if you're a basketball fan, you have to watch the women. Sorry, you got to watch us.
I agree. You've obviously, and you are now an idol for all the young girls coming forward. But who was yours growing up? Like you mentioned Penny Taylor. I'm sure you were watching Lauren Jackson and whatnot. Yeah. But did you have an Opal or an Australian women's basketball that you just loved watching? Maybe molded your game a little bit around?
Yeah. So you just mentioned both of them. So Penny Taylor and Lauren Jackson were, anyone I think would say those two. But and the amazing part is I got to play with both of them as Opals. Like they were my Opal sisters, which was just, for me, to come full circle and be there and be like, wow, like the kids that, I had them on my school books and now I'm playing with them. Like that was just a really cool moment. And Penny and Lauren, I only got to play 2 games with Lauren before she had to retire. But that was, I think I played like 2.5 minutes with her on the court. And I think I had an open layup and I passed to her who had a double team, and then she told me to shoot it. So that was my memory, because I had an open layup and I was so like, oh my gosh, Lauren, try and score on 2 people. But with Penny, I got to do, the World Cup with her and the Olympics. So that was incredible. She's an amazing human, and amazing to come full circle. But also in school, I had the 2004 Athens Olympians on my school book, and that had Sandy in it, who became my coach, Susie Bakovic, who I ended up winning 3 championships with. Do you know what I mean? Like it's those stories that it's like, wow. And then I look down, I see, I wonder like what kids are going to come through that have me on their school books or have another Opal on their school books, and they come to the Opal squad a few years later. Do you know what I mean? It's those kind of stories that are really cool.
And that's the stuff I think you were mentioned before about the people you meet and whatever, the places you go. It's not necessarily the games, but the people you meet. The fact that you've had 2-3 year idols that you've grown up, like you said, just like watching to play with, that's pretty special.
Yeah, it certainly is. And Susie, she's a cool egg, and she, is an absolute legend of the game. And to win those 3 championships up in Townsville, small region though too. So, we've got media every day, and, it's not like a big city. So, they hammer us with the media, which is great and great for the region. So I'm happy, that we're all up there again, and, we're going to get some good exposure. For sure. One
thing I love about what you've done is you're not just obviously a basketball player, you're a lot more than that. The entrepreneurial.
There it is.
The stuff you've done with you set little businesses off the court now. Remy?
Yeah, Remy and Coco.
Remy and Coco was one. Obviously, you have your website, www.caylageorge.com.
Yes.
You just had your CG program kind of weekend up in Cairns. Talk me through some of that stuff, and obviously super passionate about it, but each 3 of those.
Yeah, absolutely. So I feel like as an athlete, I wanted to be really smart with how I invested my money, and I'm very creative and my mind's always thinking of ideas. So a few years back, I decided to start making candles. And then I was still playing in Europe at that point. So then I employed my sister to do everything for me, and then added apparel and things like that. So I really like home decor, and that's kind of where that came from. And so I still do that. That's really cool. And then I do, CaylaGeorge.com, which is essentially like a super interactive program for these young aspiring females to connect with me as an current Opal that's still, a professional basketball player. Now, when I was young, I wish that I had someone older that would interact with me like I'm interacting with these girls.
Yeah.
Technology is different now too. But essentially, it's just to help these kids just understand that, hey, like, you might be lacking confidence, but, I do as well. I'm pro 14 years and I still have moments like this, but this is how I bounce back. The three things I focus on are commitment, culture, and confidence. I think it's been a real success so far. And I launched it in November last year, right before, everything became online due to COVID. So, and then everyone kind of went online and did their mentoring stuff, which is cool. It's definitely needed. It's a space that's definitely needed. But yeah, I was really fortunate. My 12-week program that I did during Corona, I had like 230 kids, like girls on that one. And then I teamed up with Greg Heyer from Perth there, with his A Stitch in Time Foundation. And he actually created a 12-week module program for the girls to do weekly, which essentially just help them understand mental health better and help give them strategies moving forward to help when they're lacking confidence and help when they're feeling certain ways. So out of the 220 girls, I think we had 80 complete that module course that Greg did. So Greg's incredible, like, love working with him, and we'll definitely work with him in the future.
That's amazing. Obviously, on the website, you have the birthday shout outs and the messages and all that stuff. You have the individual workouts, a 12-week program you mentioned. I think some group sessions, like just a variety of stuff, like you said, for young girls to talk to, reach out to, have some contact with their idol growing up.
And I think it's really important for me. Like, one of the main things was to create like a sisterhood, like a CG sisterhood. So, for example, one of my programs, I had a couple kids in Cairns, and then there was a family in Brisbane. And then for the Queensland State Championships a month ago, they met and were like, oh, we met through the Cayla George program. They had photos, they tagged me. They're like, oh, this is how we met. And that is a really cool feeling, right? So connecting these kids, showing these young girls, oh, look what so-and-so is doing in WA. Look at what they're doing, in USA. I had a couple from USA, one from Norway, and two from France in my program. So it's international, which is great. But yeah, to create that sisterhood where, we've got each other's backs, I think is really important. And then, culturally, I'm teaching them how I, roll as a leader and what I kind of try and emulate to my team. And my goal is for those young girls who you're never too young to be a leader, for them to go back to their teams and kind of create a culture of accountability, no finger pointing, just a culture that's building up through the ranks of their age groups, and that they can, it's more positive.
That's amazing. I love it. How cool to be an Under Armour athlete.
Oh, yes. Who would have thought at 31 I'd be signing my first deal?
Hey, never too late, right?
Right. So I think it is about like the grind on the socials. Like it's more like how your brand, it's not just about on-court stuff. And I feel like I've done a lot of work to build that. And so I was really super stoked to be able to sign with Under Armour. They've got some great gear, and moving forward, they've got some great ideas and plans for the future. So I'm looking forward to it, and just kind of taking it all in. And like I said, the 31, stoked. Thanks, guys.
Only a number. It is only a number.
Right?
I might try to see if I can get something at 34.
A discount code. No.
They also helped out with your program, your CG program. I think they provided balls and some stuff for that as well.
Yeah. No, that was really great, actually. I did want to talk about that. So I had this idea. Well, I was doing camps in Melbourne, and camps are such a saturated market. And I don't want to compete with associations for kids to come to my camp over there. It's like, I don't want that. I want to always be different and think outside the square. So, or the box, whatever, just think outside of it. And so I thought at the start of this year, I wanted to launch in Melbourne these CG tournaments. And so obviously through Corona, it got put on hold. But then once things settled down in Cairns, I was like, oh, let's get it cracking. And so, I had like a DJ there. I had live radio streamed from there. I had like lunch supplied. There was like an activation court with a selfie station. There was a hydration station, a facial station. So like, that's really, play some hoops and take care of your skin. It's important, right? Get some drinks, hydration station. And then of course, a selfie station. It's essential. Have to have a selfie station. So that was really cool. We had about 50 or 60 kids come through that. which for the region of Cairns was quite good. Good for me to run my first event, lots of things to change on the run, but, it was a little anxiety plus, but I learned a lot. But yeah, the kids had fun. So that was really great. And Under Armour, handed out some prizes and had the balls there as well. So that was really great.
Amazing. Where is home for you? You grew up in Adelaide. You played all over, literally almost every state, I think.
I calm down, right?
Where do you consider home? Obviously, married, I think, 5 years now. Family up in Cairns, lived up there for a while, kind of North Queenslandish area.
Yes.
Where do you consider home?
Well, my birthplace is Mount Barker in Adelaide Hills. So I've still got family there. But I went to the AIS at 15 and then I went back to the Lightning for 2 years and haven't lived in Adelaide since. So in 2011, I went to Cairns because my dad had just moved back from Fiji, and obviously Cairns, he'd been there for a while, and Cairns, like climate-wise, was kind of similar, I guess. And then I'd had a new little sister that I wanted to hang out with. She was like 9 months old.
Yeah.
And so, just to go meet her. And then I ended up meeting my husband there. So when I wasn't on contract or just having a rest in Australia for a second, I was always in Cairns. And then, got hitched and, now it's home.
So Cairns is home now?
Yeah, Cairns. Yeah, a lot of people think I'm from Townsville, but no, I just played there for 3 seasons. Definitely a Cairns gal now. Adopted.
You have two beautiful dogs. You get treats from a very special lady that looks after a lot of us in the NBL, and a lot of others as well. Yeah, no, I certainly do. I actually get them delivered to my door since she's a Cairns local. So yeah, she's beautiful. Harley and Me treats. I actually need to probably put an order in. My dogs are missing me. I feel bad. Got separation anxiety. I do. No, she's amazing. So yeah, I've had a few of her treats, and also Petso. I've been working with Petso a little bit. I know they're doing a lot with you guys down at Southeast Melbourne, and some of the Bendigo girls, I think, as well. With there as well. So yeah, really cool stuff. Dogs love it. And I know you love your Temper bed. I've also been blessed with a very, very luxurious bed, but Temper, I know you love your bed. Mate, I'm very spoiled. That bed is sublime, but I'm not going to lie. This bed here, my back doesn't like it. It's just not the Temper. I did bring my pillow down, but unfortunately couldn't bring the old mattress in the suitcase. But yeah, it's very luxurious. And I mean, the dogs love it too. So are your dogs allowed on the bed? They own the house. So theirs. Yes. I get like a small percentage of the bed, but it's all theirs. Yes. I love that for you. That's great. I want to, you obviously, a lot of your teammates would obviously love you, and you love all your teammates. You have a special connection with Maddie. I think you probably room with her. Maddie Garrick. Maddie. I don't know who that is. Not a fan. You two are always together. Being absolute clowns. And I know you like that with a lot of your teammates and whatever. Yeah. Alana, Liz, everyone, you're always posting. One of the funniest things I find with you is, if it's someone's birthday, whatever it is, you're posting like they've either been hit with a ball in the face, they're like twisted on the ground. Like, it's just amazing. No matter who it is from what team, you have the biggest collection of photos stored up. I have albums. I have albums stored up, ready to go. No, I do like a good gag, like a laugh. Like it's my vibe. Like I just like to make everyone around me feel really good, and a lot of that is laughing. And so I just, culturally like to make especially the young girls feel comfortable, like we're all on the same page. And I think that's really great just to have everyone, we've all got our own experiences, we've all got different resumes, but at the end of the day, we're all on one team. No one's better than anyone else, and we're going to get the job done together from 1 to 12. Everyone's just as important. So for me to create that culture is having those fun times, those laughs, those giggles, like, that's what it's about for me, and making sure everyone's comfortable and in a good mind frame. Well, it takes the pressure off, right? Like obviously you're locked in when it comes game time, and that's obviously all serious. Scouts going to the game, whatever, but to take the pressure, like a young girl maybe playing her first game, but if you're messing around and like making light of situations, it distracts her a little bit from actually playing the game until it's time to really lock in. Exactly, because if they're locked in and they come on the floor and do something great, like that's great for your team. So like if they're not and they're anxious and they're going on the floor and making mistakes, like that's them making the mistake, but then it's a turnover for your team. So I just like to make sure, and that sounds like, oh, duh, Cayla, of course, but it's like, well, not a lot of, when I was younger, like in coming through, I didn't have anyone trying to like make me feel more comfortable. I had to ride through the anxiety wave of like nerves and like make sure I was ready. And do you know what I mean? So for
for me, and it's especially what we do with the Opals as well, like the leadership group, we just make sure everyone's in a really good space and a really good mind frame to come on 1 to 12. We've all got this. Let's roll.
Love it. My last one, I want a top 5 of players you've played with. So I want a point guard, and you're in the team. So put yourself wherever you want. If you want to, you can't be a point guard.
Oh, I can't be a point guard.
No. So I want your best that you've played with. So they can be Opals, they can be WNBL, overseas.
Well, I'd have to say I really like playing with guards that really aren't afraid to pass, like crafty passes. So Kristen Veal, like bit vintage there. Vealy. I can only say 5 though.
I want a team, one team.
Okay.
The Vealy point.
Oh my gosh, this is really hard. Well, I'd say post play like Liz and Tolo, but I can't be on the team. Oh man.
No, you can only pick one. So you've got Liz. I'll give you Liz. So Liz.
Okay, Liz, all right. And then I'm in the 4 spot.
Yep.
And in the 3, I would say Maddie Garrick.
Smart.
In the 2. No, actually, Maddie's the 2. I'd say the 1, I really enjoyed playing with Katie Ray Ebsbury in the Opals in 2018, like that era, like that time. So Katie was really phenomenal. So I'm going to say Katie Ray. And then, Maddie in the 2. And then in the 3, we'll go Steph Talbot.
I love it.
No, actually, I'd change it. No, I'd change it because Steph just gave me some shit on an IG slide. So Jenna O'Hay.
Even better. I love it. Well, Cayla, that's all I've got for you. I appreciate you taking. I'm glad I could distract you from a little bit of your quarantine and like.
Actually, I've got a bit of colouring to do, so no.
You didn't mention that before. I do appreciate you taking time to jump on. Good luck with the upcoming season. I'm sure it's going to be a grind, a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Hard work, with that condensed schedule, but you guys got a great team, and with Guy and that there, I'm sure you do well. So good luck.
Thank you, champ. Appreciate you.
Good luck getting out of quarantine. Fingers crossed you're all good, and I bet we can't wait to get back up north.
Yeah, no, definitely hyped for that. But thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate you.
You are most welcome.